Hey, I'm Brent Leary.
I don't remember my name. It's been too long.
You're Paul Greenberg,
Oh, I'm Paul Greenberg. And
and
your
we
name?
are the CRM Players.
Okay, okay. And your name was what again?
Not Paul Greenberg,
Okay, not.
and we are the CRM Players, and we're back from hiatus, and we're here to bring the ads.
Z.
Always got to make sure you say that.
Always. We do not want to be confused.
Oh, look at that! I got a notification. It says, "Oh, you can't really see it. We're live." That's what it says. We're live.
Oh, awesome.
It is awesome. We're live. We're back. We are the CRM Players. Did you miss us?
Are you asking me?
I was just, if there's anybody out there, where is the one person who won it double time since the last couple of weeks we were on hiatus and there was no moment of spin? So he actually asked, does that mean I get like 2 or 3 moments for the first time back? And look, he's not here. So you missed your chance, Finn. We are willing to give it to you.
And
You snooze, you lose.
oh,
And you get
Patrick.
replaced by Patrick.
Patrick is yay. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Patrick.
And look, Alan missed us, really?
Thank you, sir.
That's nice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just kidding.
Mm.
I always appreciate the one and only Alan Berkson. Thank goodness for that.
Wait. Are you saying thank goodness there's only one of them?
I just said thank goodness for that. I'm not reading anything in there. Oh, look, Sahil.
Sahil, how you doing, man?
We're glad to see everybody.
He's doing so. I won't say what it is, but Sahil's doing something very interesting right now.
Like right now, like I know he's doing something interesting right now. He's watching us. That's
that's
pretty interesting.
That's fascinating. It's fascinating that anybody watches us.
Yeah, the fascinating part is that there are people and apparently dogs that do watch us. So we're happy for any.
And we have at least 2 dogs for our audience.
That's right. But it's not a dog eat dog audience.
No.
Yikes, that was a bad one.
Yes.
I'm carrying over from yesterday's happy hour. Apparently, I was reeling them off there, folks. You should have been there, or probably you're better off not being there.
So next time we talk, I went in yesterday because I need new glasses. Not these are fine, but the ones that I normally use are just the what do you call it? The lens is chipped. The frame is like falls off my face if I lean down. So I went in to get new glasses and at Lens Crafters. And while I was there, I thought, oh, maybe I get a pair of prescription sunglasses. I might as well. And they were selling the Meta AI sunglasses, the Ray-Ban ones.
How much do they cost?
Well, mine are prescription, so it's more expensive. But what they are, the glasses with a normal, like, you don't need prescription lenses, are, if they're not on sale, $299. They're not insane, but they're pricey. So the glasses, you got to realize these are Ray-Bans, so they tend to be thick.
I think these are Ray-Bans, actually. What I got?
Yeah, well, they tend to be more like that than like this, because these are like metal aviator type things, half. And yours are full frames, then they're like that. They're thick and black.
I'm a full frame kind of guy there.
I actually put them on. They didn't look too bad, I don't think. But by the next Playaz, I'll have them. So I'm gonna. They're there today. I could have had them today, but I didn't want to go until both pairs.
Nah, you got to ease in the coming back.
Yeah, and so I'll do it next time. Maybe we'll see what we got and play around with it a little bit.
I started a couple weeks ago when I was doing Pass the Mic with the one and only the Cold One, the Bold One, John Cold Rice Lawson, and I was cleaning out a little bit, and I got to like my closet, and I got a lot. I got a closet full of like Rams gear, like hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts. I even got like flannel Rams gear, and it literally 98.5% of the stuff in this closet is Rams gear, and I'm not even talking about the hats. So I started looking at all the caps I had, and I told myself, you know what? I've gotten into a Rams cap rut. Like I was only wearing like 2 or 3 of my Ram caps,
Oh,
and I was like, you know what? I've got way too many. I'm going to make sure that I start wearing different Rams hats for shows. And so I'm kind of going a little back to the future to a little bit, because this is the 2021 Rams Super Bowl winning edition cap. So you can see,
nice.
you
Yeah,
know,
the
the Lombardi trophy there.
Barney trophy.
So, and I don't even recall actually wearing this. I just bought it. So I'm breaking this out. So there it is, another unworn Rams cap that is now in the rotation.
The Imelda Marcos collection of Rams caps.
Oh, don't even. I also have a lot of sneaker shoes too.
Okay, and the Imelda Marco collection of sneakers.
Yeah, it's not good, but I actually like it. Anyway, so we have a really cool guest coming up later on. Which it is kind of timely too, because we just went through Prime Day, and he's into that kind of thing, the retail, the digital retail and the consumer goods, and we're gonna get a little insight into kind of how all that went, because quite honestly, I didn't buy a thing last week. Did you?
Oh, no, nothing.
Anybody out there or participate in Amazon Prime Day? I know Alan Bertson, he showed me a picture. Apparently, there were so many deliveries in his apartment building that they had to put up a little sign that said, please come and get your stuff, because we're creating a backup in the delivery area for all the Prime Day deliveries that were getting done. I was crazy.
Well, you know what? I mean, Amazon, yeah, but more than the closet.
More than that.
One. Yeah, I'm sure more than the closet.
Yikes.
So the thing I found out, how it's the impact of Amazon on the economies of all these places, is astounding. When Yvonne did this, they did the six week. Every week they would do like a thing on that the city ran on how the city works, right? And she went, and apparently one of the most important revenue sources for the city of Manassas, which is not, look, it's not small, right? Is Amazon package delivery, and what the money that Amazon pays them for delivering packages in the city. And they said, they didn't give the exact number, but it was probably a high end of a single digit of the total revenue of the city.
Wow.
Like 7-8% maybe of all the revenue of the entire city. And obviously taxes are higher, but it's real. They were, Yvonne told me that they were like, let's say this, they would freak out if Amazon decided not to deliver here.
The economy would take a big hit.
Yeah, huge hit.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to get into some of that talk with our guests. We'll wait till a bit later so that the Venerable Paul Greenberg can do his world famous guest introductions. Everybody, I'm not kidding when I say they're world famous too, because if you saw us at any of the events that we've gone to this year, and we've done the CRM Playaz show, and we had our guests on, I'm not kidding. I think the only reason they actually come and do our shows is to hear them introduced by the Venerable Paul Greenberg at this point.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this is I don't think I've ever actually met this person, but I know this. But I know this person. I might have met him once. Yeah, well, Michael, of course. Michael was well, when the intro happens, I'll say something so Michael will understand.
Oh, look who is here! All of a sudden, the Michaels start showing up. First Klein, and then W. Thomas.
The man himself, the best of the best. Michael Thomas was a star of the Three Mike show that we did on EWPK, where he talked about his extraordinary photography skills.
Wait a minute.
especially wildlife and birds in particular.
So which one
So
was he?
he was the Michael.
Pavarotti or I forget the other two
He
tenors.
was Michael.
The three tenors. All right. Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he was. That's right. Who was it?
I know Pavarotti.
Pavarotti.
I don't know the other two.
God, how could I
Luca
forget?
Brazza, maybe.
No. You know the guy, the blind guy.
Placido Domingo.
Placido Domingo was the second, and who was the third?
Lefty Drizel.
Yeah, yeah, that was
I don't
clearly
even know where that came from.
a superstar baritone.
Anyway, while we were figuring that one out, before we bring our guests, we got some stuff to go through. I don't know if you saw yesterday after the bell closed, two of our the companies that we follow, and quite honestly, both of them we did CRM Playaz shows from this year at their prospective events. Where's that respective events? I don't know. There it is. Rebecca coming in with Buccelli. I think actually Patrick.
That's right, Andres Bocelli.
Yeah. Now I want some ice cream for some reason.
Bocelli.
Anyway, so
that's right. He's the blind guy.
Yeah,
Domingo's not blind.
yeah.
Sorry, Placido. Sorry, Andre.
So Pega and ServiceNow. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't.
They did earnings, and I don't. Yesterday there was a complete meltdown on Nasdaq.
I saw that.
the big companies took it, but after the bell, earnings came in for both Pega and ServiceNow. Boom, they're both up like 12-13% today, just today, because they kicked it in their earnings. So I'm going to ask you if you know who said this.
Pega.
That's
No
not
client. Yeah. That was. I do know. You know what? Sadly, this is what's making this worse. Is I saw the quote somewhere.
Well, this is. I should have put my digging in the script. Whoa,
that's my phone.
Who's that?
It said health.
Roger Daltrey is calling or something.
Yeah, that was. I think of the ringtone for a second. A ringtone that says "Who are you?" That's what it's. The song is "Who are you?"
That's why I was asking. Is that Roger?
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. It was deliberately. I just thought that was the greatest idea for a ringtone. All right. Okay, let me see if I can remember though.
No, I'm going to give you 5, 4.
Oh no, you don't have to. I don't remember.
It is.
I thought so. That's who I was thinking, but I didn't want to say it because for the other problem was I thought it was him or Nick Sisson said it, and I couldn't remember.
It's just to show how in sync the Pega execs are on this one particular topic. Check out this clip from our other friend at Pega, or one of our other friends at Pega, Don Sherman. When I did a few good minutes with him at Pega World. Check out what he says here.
Believe Pega was low code before low code term existed. I'm sure eventually the low code term will fall out of prominence, and we will still be letting people build processes without writing any code. Like that's what we've always been about. That's kind of been our core. Blueprint just becomes another kind of acceleration of that. The other thing, I do think this idea that we're going to use AI to help us write more code, I think is exactly the one thing. Like I'm yet to have a customer come to me and say, our real problem is we just don't have enough code rolling around here.
Yeah.
Perfect sync.
Yeah. On message.
When I read that in the transcript, I was like, where did I hear that before?
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you, Blueprint is Pega's, for at least at this point, their big breakthrough. It really is. It really is different than anything I've seen out there, and useful and easy to work with. I mean, it's not simple, but it's easy. I did it. Yeah. And I even got a little clip. I got to post. Man, there's so much video that we were able to capture at all these events, whether it's a Playaz thing or a few good minutes. I mean, I don't know if people have been noticing on my LinkedIn profile. I've been trying to drip it out. But there's so much that we were able to, so many people, so many great conversations, so many experiences, like going through and having somebody actually walk through that. It's been great. So I'm going to try to keep
pushing out these clips. Matter of fact, one of the things I thought was cool is, when we get a chance to talk to these folks, we're always going to focus on a lot of the stuff that their companies are doing and stuff like why they say things like, a client has never told us they want more code. That's really important stuff. But there's also these opportunities to learn more about the individuals.
Yeah.
And so here's a clip I just posted, but I thought this was interesting because I hadn't really been engaged or talked with anybody over at Sage for like over a decade, maybe close to 15 years. But I did get an invite to check out their conference earlier this year. And I had a chance to do a few good minutes with Steve Hare, which is their CEO. And I found out that he was a big rugby guy. So I had to ask him, what should an NFL guy like me know about rugby? And check out what he said.
Rugby guy.
Yeah.
What should a non-rugby person know about rugby?
There's actually two different types of rugby. There's rugby union and rugby league. Rugby union is the one that I like. That World Championship takes place every 4 years. It's a very fast-moving game. You can't pass the ball forward, for example. You can only pass it backward. You can kick it forward. And so it's all about fast running. It's all about trying to score a try or a touchdown. But the funny thing is, in American football, even though it's called a touchdown, you don't actually have to touch it now. You just have to cross the line. In rugby, you actually have to touch the ball over the line, and you have to ground it. And if you don't ground it, it doesn't count. And we don't wear pads.
If you ever take up NFL football, never like the New England
I thought he
Patriots,
said
please.
pants.
No,
They were very successful for many years. Well,
I know.
yeah.
I had to get rid of when we started talking about the Patriots. I had to all right, guys.
I literally thought he said you don't wear pants.
So did the Gen AI transcript
I
I
figured.
use. That's why if you notice, it said wear pads. It was a completely different icon or whatever you call it.
Yep.
And
It was
so
edited.
because I had to flash it. It looks like he says that they don't wear pants. I had to make sure that he didn't go out like that,
That's
So-
what. Wait,
Anyway.
wait, he liked rugby union, not league.
Yeah, he is a rug like I didn't know
Rugby.
the difference between
The former CEO of Medallia and
that Les guy.
Leslie Stretch. He's a huge rugby guy too. He explained it to me one day, but it wasn't as cogent as Steve Hare's explanation. I got it, but I didn't get it.
Oh, what's this?
Kilt rugby.
Kilt rugby. All right, Michael.
Okay,
you're gonna-
Michael, what is kilt rugby? Oh, no pants. No.
Is that what he meant? Because I thought he said no pads. Because
I think he
meant
did
no
say
pants.
I think he said no pads,
Oh.
really. But I think Michael's.
Michael, is there such a thing as kilt pants?
I
in
think
the
he's
UK
making a
or
joke.
underwear?
I think
They
he's
wear
making a joke,
trousers
and it's
over
a
their-
good joke, actually.
Oh my,
Pretty good.
Kilt
Way
rugby.
to go,
yeah.
Michael Frank.
Yeah, that one. I thought for sure maybe they didn't translate it right. So
No, I think it was pads. I think
I'm hoping because I know rugby folks, they don't wear pads. They're like
Guess not.
manly men. They don't.
Look at Michael's.
Yeah, we're all clueless.
Yeah,
Steve,
that's what I figured.
I'll go back and ask Steve Hare when I get a chance. All right. So you know what? Let's do one more clip. Because this is another one of our shows. This is a PPN show called The Crunch. And earlier this week, our buddy Jeremy Cox, who is one of the rotating hosts of The Crunch, he had a gentleman by the name of Rob Hopkins on in there. And Jeremy's all in on this whole idea of regenerative business. And he gave a little explanation as to why all of a sudden he kind of did a 180-degree turn and decided, I'm really more interested in digging into this concept or idea called regenerative business. And this is why he said he did it.
India in February last year, courtesy of Zoho, a software company. And what they were doing was just phenomenal. And they talked about regenerative capitalism. So that's what we're about. We don't make profits for the sake of it. We make profits so we can do something with it. They're building a hospital in Chennai. They've got a farm and a school right out in the sticks. And they're looking to how they can create life in these rural areas, which are so reliant on farming, which gets squeezed down by the middlemen and all that. It's feast or famine, or it's mostly famine. They've got their own schools to bring people on, developing their own talent. So they're not relying on the market fighting for talent. They're creating the talent. They've got artists that they employ to paint these big pictures, and to imagine and to dream. And that's what inspired me.
That was really a good bit of clip there on why because he's been fascinated, I guess, ever since that trip. I mean, that's all he's really been talking about. And so when I checked out that, I thought, man, I'm so glad that he said why he was so inspired and what got him into this. Because
he literally changed. I mean, he was a CX guy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and he just basically said, put that stuff aside. I don't care. What I want to do is, I want to work on this because this is important. And, if I'm comparing the two, he's right. Which means I've wasted my life. Right. So, he's all in. He's doing deep research. And the guest he had was actually from what was it, a small town bakery, I think, right? Was it a bakery?
Well, it's I forget exactly, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
Bakery is like one component, but this is somebody who's kind of practicing this thing called regenerative capitalism or business
at a local level.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to check out the show. It was really interesting. I'll put up another clip that has a little bit more of the meat of the show. But I just thought Jeremy talking about what inspired him to kind of make this complete career change, basically, to focus on this area is really interesting stuff. All right. I think I have one more. Yeah, I do have one more thing.
Oh, God, I know what it is.
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather.
I have to say,
venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
Well, being away from it for 3 weeks was lovely.
I missed Benny.
I didn't even miss him. I didn't miss that thing at all.
Miss Benny. But anyway,
I didn't miss one bit of that.
It's back, folks. It's Stump the Godfather. It is the venerable Paul Greenberg. It is brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. Let's get into it. And this time, I am not going to screw it up. Here we are. As of May 2024, estimates range from 328.77 million to blankety blank blank million terabytes of data created each day. 328.77 million terabytes?
I think my answer would be 328.78.
That is I don't even know what the hell that really means, because that's such a ridiculously huge. I mean, every day 328.7. Why can't
I'd love to know how they're getting their data. That's what I'd love to know. I mean, how the hell do you know how much data is being created? This is estimates is right, like really, really like sweeping broad estimates with no basis in fact.
And that never stopped us before. So
no, it did not.
The question is, what is that high number? So the low part of the range is 328.77 million terabytes, but the high mark of the range is what? So that's the question. What is the high range for the estimate for how much data is created every single day? And it's in the million terabytes, right? That's just mind-blowing to me.
You want to know something?
Good. Guess what, though? Guess what? Sahil has already stepped into the breach here. 360 million terabytes. That is his guess. Anybody else take a shot? There's like 3 Michaels here. There's a Rebecca. There's a Patrick. There's Alan. So all you folks, take a shot. Sahil is already in 360.
So here's the thing. You realize if you see something that says, as of May 2024, estimates range from around 350 million to whatever of terabytes. I could even estimates range from 328.77. That's an estimate.
Yeah, why not?
That's an estimate with no basis in anything. Okay, so
All right, this so I'm start. All right, so why not use petabytes is my question. But I'm going to go with 525. Rebecca's going with 402. Patrick is going with woof 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 woof. Does that mean 400
yeah,
million
that's
terabytes?
400. That's 400 million. Wait, how many wolves? 4. Yeah, there's 400. It's 100 million per wolf. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 400 million for Rebecca.
Michael, we'll send the doctor to your house immediately to get that that situation handled. Rebecca, what yeah, that was Patrick's guess.
Yeah, you got it, Michael.
So Michael, Patrick's is every wolf was 100 million. So that's 4 wolves, so that's 400 million. But I think somebody is already kind of cheated. I'm not gonna say who, but so anyway, anybody else want to get their last guess in before we ask the venerable Paul Greenberg? Yeah, Michael Klein is at 428 plus. What are we doing math here?
100 from the base. Oh, is it like a different?
Oh no, he's just explaining why he's saying 428.
Oh, 100 more from the base. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good.
He's basically going on. He's doing the math of estimates rather than an estimate of data.
Right. You know, it's a guess. So. All right. So with all that said, we've got 360, we got 402, we got 400 from Patrick, we got 525, and we got 428. So now it's time for the venerable Paul Greenberg to tell us his guess.
I think my brain exploded with Michael's. So I'm going to go with, it's pretty random. Really.
By the way, our guest is in the green room. Guest, if you would like to take a shot at the question, just put it in the private chat and we'll let people know. But go forward, venerable one, continue on.
I'm going with 397.
397.
Yeah. I mean, it's as good an estimate as theirs is. So, right. So it's like.
No, you're doing prices right because you're coming in underneath everybody except Sahil. I see what's
going on. The interest. I mean, again, I'd love to know how they got the number.
Well, I'll give you the link and you can go find out for them. So, all right, we're locked in. Once again, our guest, if you want to give a guess, let us know. Put it in that private chat before we go. So right now we got Sahil at 360. We've got you at 397. We've got Patrick at 4 wolves, which means 400 million. We've got Rebecca at 402 million. We've got Michael Klein at 428 million. And we've got Michael Frank. Wasn't he at 525?
Frank.
Oh, Frank. I should know.
Yeah, 525.
525. All right. We got them all locked in. The answer to the question is we still need to get them some music. But anyway, we'll get it.
We can do that.
Yeah, we'll get it later. All right. But for now, the answer is.
That's in dollars?
No, I just forgot to take the dollar out. It's 402.74 million terabytes. See, I think Rebecca cheated. I'm sorry. I'm calling you. You and Patrick might have cheated together because Patrick's got 400. You got 402. I'm smelling something. Something's rotten in Denmark or wherever she lives. I don't know where. Somewhere near you. You should smell.
I was about to say something's rotten in Alexandria.
You should be able to spell that then. But it is 402.74. We can't leave out the 0.74 million terabytes every day. That's just a crazy number, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. As I told you.
I mean crazy big, not.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's just crazy generally. Well, maybe they have a basis for actually saying it. I don't know. I don't know how you can do. I'm literally trying to think of how can you actually do that? How do you say, okay, well, we've got enough data from enough computers in the world that we've somehow gotten how much they're creating every day. Somehow we got enough data from enough computers other than those that are our own servers, and to come up with an estimate that has a point anything in it. Right. So
you know what? I see your point.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just to put a couple of additional numbers in perspective here. So on top of the 402.74 million terabytes of data created daily, around 147 zettabytes of data will be generated this year. I don't even know how many zeros that is. 181 zettabytes of data will be generated in 2025. Videos account for over half of internet data traffic. The US has over 2,700 data centers. Man, that's a lot of stuff.
That's see, now the data center I can get behind because you can actually figure that out. The rest of it,
but think about half of that data is video, which makes complete sense.
Not shocking.
Yeah,
that's not shocking.
Let's see, because 400 wouldn't sound like yeah, exactly.
Well, Patrick's a dog, so he didn't know that.
Yeah, but Rebecca did. That's why she had the point too.
But if you know what, if it was a parrot, they probably could have done it exactly.
No,
based on our conversation yesterday.
All right, folks, that was. See, everybody liked that one. I'm glad it's back, babies. Did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
I'm taking that back. It's back. Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. All right, we've made it through, and now I turn things over to the venerable Paul Greenberg to introduce today's guest.
All right, so this is an interesting one because I don't really know the guy, but I do kind of know the guy.
That's never.
And you'll understand when we get down to it, right? It's not a guy I hung out with very much, but I might have met him once, and I have a vague memory of actually.
You know, if you've met him once, then you should remember.
Well, wait. Here's the interesting thing, but I know of him a long time, and this is why. Okay. When I started my career, and that was,
when was that?
18. I think it was 1870.
Were they tin pans involved or picks and shovels? Or?
Well, it was actually 1912, and it was Tin Pan Alley, and it was in music, right? I was actually I'm the creator of jazz. I just never told you, right? So when I started my career, I was investigating everything, and I was reading analyst reports all the time. And what I found as I was doing this is that I would find these analysts who were really, really either they were like really good with what they do, but they also could write, and they also had a particular point of view, and at the same time had a particular way of expressing it. Okay. So one of the things I was looking at back in the early days, because, I'm very right brain. So consumer side stuff really fascinated me when it came to CRM, and I would research it for the book and stuff like that. And there was this guy at AMR, and
by the way, his name was
name was Rob Garf.
Yeah.
And I read his stuff on retail, and it was different. I was reading a lot of retail stuff because I'm into that side of things. And so
I heard that.
But here's what made it different. Yeah. And this is why I said I've known him a long time, but I don't know him a long time. His retail, if you read retail stuff ever, actually, and Michael Klein, who's on in the audience, was the retail head of retail at Adobe, and he also knows this, and also another he's a whiz, man. So if you read retail stuff, it's generic typically. The analysts who write about it will write, it's all data, and it's them saying we're presenting the data, and then we're presenting some I'll call it wrapper around it, or it's broad. It's just like a wrapper. Back then it would be hammer, right? So, or it's broad strategic stuff without a lot of reality-based, substance. Rob was the guy who he did two things. One is data became a foundation for him, but it was insight from the data, which is what he presented. But the other thing, and he was always providing the strategy, but what he always did, and I don't know if this was a deliberate writing style or what, but he presented things in effect, things you could do, right? Wasn't like, here's the picture, here's the retail industry. Rob was one of these guys who said, you know what? Given this, given that, given the long term, given the short term, given the data that, substantiating all of this, here are a few things and approaches that you can take to things. And I didn't know enough about retail. That's how I learned retail. It was him, really. I just basically, I'll use an old term, I glommed onto him, right? I basically read his stuff, and that's who I read for several years. I don't remember what year he left AMR, 2007, 8, something like that. But I read him from his early days there till the time he went off to the other side, right? And now he's VP of Consumer Goods and is a specialist in retail and general manager too, a specialist in retail at Salesforce. So let us bring on Mr. Rob Garf. And
wow, that was something, Paul. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was funny when Brent told me you were coming on. I thought I went and took a look, and then it clicked right in that you're that guy, right? The guy I would read.
He is that guy
for years.
I
read it for
appreciate
years. Well, it was great stuff.
The secret is I had no idea what I was doing, by the way. Really, like I went on to this analyst thing because Lids, where I was working and running e-commerce and we called it at the time multi-channel.
Right.
I got bought by a company in Indiana and I wasn't ready to move there at the time. And my buddy said, "Hey, we're building up a retail practice at AMR Research. Want to come on board?" And I'm like, "I don't know what it is, but sure, I need a job." And it was awesome.
Yeah, the thing though, the thing I really loved, and I really did love this, was that you always had suggestions about things to do, which nobody else did. They just, here's the data, here's whatever insight we might have garnered from it.
Yeah.
And you were, here's the data, here's the insight, but here's some things you can actually do to implement all this stuff. And nobody else did that, right? And that is literally how I learned retail from you.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I look back at that time very fondly. And it was kind of fun too, because I was, and as analysts do, helping executives make really difficult decisions. And one guiding principle I had is I'm never going to pick the software vendor or technology provider for you, because I don't think you can make a selection based on what's in the top right of any quadrant. It's like a lot of variables there. So I just try to create a framework. And I see Rebecca saying hello. She did something very similar. And Michael, who I saw last week in Southern California.
Yeah,
that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
We just help provide a framework to make decisions. And they're big decisions. And some of them are costly and could be career defining decisions. And it was a lot of fun. So Paul, wow, you made my day. Thank you.
By the way, just officially, Rob, I think that was the longest intro that we've done on the show. And it was for somebody he didn't even know. So that says a lot.
Well, it's a better intro than, giving me grief for the Patriots winning a couple of Super Bowls or the Celtics taking the championship.
And we were on such a positive note.
I'm a Giants fan, so
well, you did okay.
Yeah, he's kind of the introvert. But before we get too far into this, I mentioned to you recently I spoke to Mike Kane, doing a few good minutes with him, and I got to show you the headshot because we talked a little bit about. Let me show you what happened when I was giving him all this praise for this headshot because I thought it was like, a real headshot. And this is how it went. All right. So before we even get into this, your headshot, probably the best headshot I've ever had to work with. I showed this to somebody and they were like, is he like a movie star or something? Because I'm telling you, man, it was very professionally done. The thing that made it really stand out to me, it was the position they had you in. It makes it look so good in the frame there. Whoever did your headshot, man, kudos to them and kudos to you for picking it.
It's making me look good, but it's also entirely representative of where generative AI is right now because I got 30 of those. About 26 were questionable and some were probably some of the worst photo editing I've ever seen.
That's awesome. That's great.
Totally fooled me.
I need to really up-level my game here for sure.
Ask him what Gen AI service he used.
And before we get started, one last thing. Brent, doesn't he remind you of David Alston? Look at him.
Damn, I really hadn't thought about it, but he kind of did.
So David Alston was the CMO of a company that Salesforce now owns, Radian 6, right? Back in the day. Now he's an independent entrepreneur. He's the entrepreneur in residence for the province of New Brunswick. He's running for office right now, actually in New Brunswick for MP. But you and he resemble each other definitely. Now,
Oh, wow.
well, we did an episode of our audio show years ago with him, and hopefully this episode doesn't have the same fate.
You know what? Maybe we can have Rob fit in and do like a redo of that, having Rob as Dave, and then Shay, Dave, we found it. We finally found it, and then
It's
we
the
show
lost
it. He's
episode.
like,
It's called
"Hey."
the lost episode.
I don't remember saying that, but
We literally couldn't find it after we did.
Really?
All right,
That's on some server that's in a landfill somewhere now.
but let's press on, because we got you for a little amount of time here, and
let's
definitely
jump
wanted
into
to talk about. I got a chance to talk with Rob yesterday. Had a little briefing, talk about some Prime Days. I was like, oh my God, this is the kind of stuff we should be talking about on the show here a little bit, because Prime Day just happened, and it's not just about what happened on Prime Day for Amazon, but it's like, what are the rippling effects for non-Amazon retailers? And you are a part of what Salesforce does with customers on that side of the house, and I thought it'd be cool to bring you on and just start talking about this. What did you see? What are kind of the implications for beyond all the Amazon stuff, but for other companies? And even, you touched on a little bit about, what this kind of talks about in terms of the bigger picture for the economy with inflation and all that. So maybe you just give us some of your thoughts on kind of what took place last week, and what are some of the kind of the keys or interesting things and ramifications for what happened.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. Let me just set the groundwork a little bit here for those that aren't aware. At Salesforce, we actually have a bird's eye view of all the data that flows through our platform. We don't have access to any personally identifiable information, but in aggregate, it represents billions and billions of shoppers. So we take that, we create a benchmark. It's actually built on Tableau. We're one of Tableau's largest customers, and we make that available for everyone. So it allows retailers, brands to benchmark how they're doing across marketing and service and commerce. And we've been doing that for quite some time, and obviously it becomes really handy about these big events in the year, whether it's back to school or Amazon or the key peak season in November and December and Cyber Week. And so, we've been looking at Prime Day data since its inception. I remember doing an interview in the old Demandware offices where I was before we got acquired by Salesforce, now Commerce Cloud. And we were talking about, really, this marks Amazon's way of trying to kind of pump up the volume during the dog days of summer. It's kind of in between the artificially manufactured days of holidays in the spring and then back to school. They're looking to bring people online and buy. And what we decided to do based on our data, because it's representative of the entire industry, is look at everybody not named Amazon and how they did. And what we found is, year after year, there's been this halo effect. Some of it initially was just organic, and now it's really mindful, where you see companies really lean in their digital marketing efforts to promote products and campaigns that try to just really surf on the top of the traffic and the visibility and demand that Amazon has created. So what we saw this Prime Day, and we know now it's a 2-day event in the summer, and there is oftentimes, and we feel like there likely will be one in the fall again, is that in the US, there was a 3% year over year increase for those 2 days. So you think about 3%, you kind of say, digitally, that's just okay. But let me kind of pull back, Brent and Paul, some of the numbers here and really get into what it really means. Well, first of all, 3%, given the high watermark we've seen in and out of the pandemic, is really strong. We've seen basically flat growth during the non-holiday timeframe for the last, I would say, 3, 4, 5 quarters. The other piece, which is super interesting, is we didn't see any rise in average selling price. That's our barometer for inflation. So what that's telling us is that people were actually buying more and there was increased demand. Unlike, by the way, the last 8 quarters. And our data actually was an early indicator of this trend that people were buying and spending, but they weren't buying more because things were just more expensive, right? And so this marks the first time, and it's consistent with what we saw in the CPI just a couple of weeks ago, that actually demand has increased and prices have remained a bit flat year over year. So that's a really good sign, Brent, because as you indicated, we look at this as an early indicator of what the holiday season is going to look like in November and December.
So one of the things that just captured my attention is because inflation has been like the bane of our existence since really coming out of pretty much coming out of the COVID era, and pricing has just been stubbornly high. It seems like inflation has been stubbornly high, and it's been like a slog to kind of bring it down. So it's really interesting to me to see that for the first time in a while, people aren't spending more because the prices being inflated. They're actually spending more because they're actually getting more at this point.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so you're seeing units per transaction creep up a little bit, which is really encouraging. We also saw really strong traffic. So we were seeing increased traffic, but conversions lower. And in this time period, we saw also conversion rate increase slightly as well. So again, really encouraging barometers around the consumer. Now, it's not all rosy, by the way. We're finding in our data, and certainly third-party information is substantiating this as well, that a lot of people are putting the inflation onto their credit card. So we're seeing people carry more personal debt. They're obviously those that have refinanced or bought a new home in the last couple of years are paying more per month for their mortgages. So we are seeing some cracks underneath the ice a little bit that says we got to be careful here because we don't want, as the consumer market, overspend and put too much of that debt on the credit cards or the buy now, pay later type of mechanism.
So good news, people are buying. Inflation doesn't seem to be increasing. It's actually coming down slowly but surely. But the kind of the flip side of that is people are buying a lot of stuff on credit, even more than they have been. And we got to think about the ramifications for that as well.
That's right. Yep. They're buying on credit. They're also seeking value. Now, don't get me wrong. Like most of us are seeking value in certain categories, like always, right? But we are seeing consumers reprioritize the types of products or purchases they're making, right? In terms of last year around the holidays, it was all about the experience, right? People want to get out and see a movie, go to a Taylor Swift concert, go on a trip, buy tickets to this, that, and the other thing. And what we're finding is now actually the top way that people are putting their discretionary income is savings. So people are being mindful of this, being conscious of this. So this year, going into the holidays, it's savings, products, and experiences. We're seeing it from third-party information, slowing down of summer travel. People are waiting to really click the buy button as it relates to their big Christmas trip or Thanksgiving vacation. So the way that people are spending are definitely changing as well.
So given what you've seen with Prime Day and kind of the interesting takeaways, I guess, what do you think that says for what's going to happen in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's a good question. I should also say for your Canadian listeners, Canada saw an 8% year-over-year increase during Prime Day. By the way, a lot of that has to do with comping. They had a tough time coming out of the pandemic, and it's been one of the slowest countries of all around the world to see a resurgence. So that was really promising. Yeah, for the fourth quarter, and we look at the holiday as November and December. We haven't put out an exact number yet, but we do see it somewhat in line with what we saw over Prime Day. So we are going to see growth, and we are seeing a shift to value. That's the overall theme. And we have really some interesting numbers that really substantiate this. If we categorize the verticals into lower price essential and higher price non-essential, The lower price essential, it's growing. Health, beauty, apparel, footwear, all doing pretty well in the first quarter as we looked at it. Now, when you look at more expensive, non-essential, those are the categories that are actually shrinking in the quarter. Most notably, Brent, is luxury. Luxury has been the really one that has maintained its growth. It's been the most resilient all the way through the pandemic. As you've seen consumer electronics go up and then down, toys up and then down, others like health and beauty kind of stay pretty consistent. Luxury has stayed up there. What we are finding, though, in the latest data, and I think this is going to be, again, something we need to look very closely at during the holiday season, is the ultra, if you look at it in three different categories, ultra luxury, and then coming down to aspirational luxury. Aspirational luxury is where you're starting to see some chipping away, meaning some lower growth. In fact, why? People are making trade-offs. They can go from aspirational luxury into right below that and looking at, other categories, and even just looking for things on marketplaces. They might be looking on the Chinese shopping apps. That's one of our predictions, by the way, and I'm happy to talk about it. It's kind of intriguing. Or they're going to off-price retailers, maybe finding the same products, but for less, or finding lesser products.
Real quick from Michael Klein, he's asking, does holiday season start in October nowadays?
Awesome. By the way, hey, Michael, it was so good to see you last week. It was fun as always. I hope to see you soon. If you're coming back East Coast to see your family in New York. So yes, we've seen a pulling forward of demand into October for the last couple of years. Particularly, it was 2021, 2022, when product availability was really challenged, right? If you think about the last mile coming in through the port of LA, there was worry if the product would get through the domestic supply chain. So people for the first time bought early because they were worried if they didn't, the product wasn't going to be there. And by the way, it wasn't. And so we call the phenomenon of discount chicken, meaning retailers always discount, but they play this game. And what ends up happening is the consumer never bites. They wait to get the best discount around Cyber Monday, Black Friday, during Cyber Week. This is the first time ever that I've experienced, like, actually the retailers won the game of discount chicken. But what we are finding, Michael, and all, there's actually a snapping back. One of our predictions shows that more and more of digital sales will happen during Cyber Week. Now, some people say, oh, are people waiting in the US for the election to understand how everything's going to flesh out? They are waiting till after the election. It's not because of the candidates or where it's going to land. It's more because they're just going to wait. They're going to wait for the best price, and they know that's going to come in Cyber Week. In fact, our specific prediction is that 7% of in-store sales will actually shift online for Black Friday. And so what we're finding is Black Friday has actually leapfrogged Cyber Monday as the largest digital day.
Wow.
People aren't as into waking up at the crack of dawn and waiting in line for the doorbuster. I mean, others are offering, Walmart did a really nice job of that, product drops for Walmart Plus members on Wednesday. More and more retailers are looking at their loyalty program and their loyal shoppers and say, let's give them some incentives and some kind of doorbusters leading up to, Black Friday and Cyber Monday to give some kind of behind the velvet rope treatment, if you will, and not, causing people to go and try to get that, heavily discounted fill in the blank, whatever product it is inside the physical store.
Paul, your volume is way low. So while you figure that one out, I want to ask you about Prime Day that takes place in October. Did that have a significant impact, and do you think it'll carry through what happened in the summer if they do it in October?
Yes. The short answer is, Brent, it does have an impact. So as I said, kind of on the other side of the equation, given Michael's question, we do see a pulling forward for the couple of days of Prime Day in October. We see a spike for other retailers who aren't named Amazon. We saw some retailers promote the week before, knowing when it was going to come out, and tried to leapfrog. So we actually saw a little bit of a spike, what was happening the week before. for sure. But then we see it trailing off. So this isn't to say, and I was just talking to a footwear brand earlier this week, that you shouldn't be promoting, but don't feel the need to show your cards too early. Find ways, whether it's a holiday guide or whether it's, again, a private sale or offers to a specific segment of customers, but you don't necessarily have to do a site-wide sale on, October 20th to try to pull demand earlier. If I'm thinking, by the way, that Amazon Prime would be a couple days before that. I know that. That's what I was thinking, but not everybody, connected those dots. But anyways, you want to start the promotional cadence, but you don't necessarily need to show all your cards too early.
No, you're still way low. So while you're figuring that out, I got two quick things.
Yeah,
we had a chance to talk yesterday. One that was really interesting around Chinese apps and the impact they could have during this season, particularly not just on Amazon, but on the overall digital commerce space. And then the second one is the brand of the store versus the brand of the product. Please go into those each, because I thought those were fascinating and what ramifications they have for what's going to happen coming up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, the Chinese shopping apps is just a fun topic to have at any happy hour or cocktail party. It's just like, have you bought anything? What did you buy? Why did you buy it? I've been looking at this for quite some time, and going into last holiday, I was asked by somebody in the media, were the likes of Temu and Shein and TikTok going to take market share of the holiday from retailers? And my answer at the time, and it wasn't fully vetted and I didn't have all the data to back it up, but I sounded confident, so I guess it worked, in that it was really more accretive than pulling from existing demand. And the reason I said that was it was still somewhat of a novelty. I mean, before Temu showed up in the Super Bowl ads, nobody really knew who they were. I was the cool kid at the Super Bowl party. Well, let's be clear, I wasn't cool, but I was one that could say, I know who they are. And people were checking it out. They might buy one thing, and of course this works somewhat in counter to what the survey results say in terms of people are a little disenfranchised by these Chinese shopping apps because of the labor practices and because of the negative impact on the environment. But people are still trying. In fact, I was presenting some findings in a group in Chicago in June, and one of the people just told a personal story that they swore off these apps until she was taking her daughter to a Taylor Swift concert and she needed a sequence dress. Both of them needed a sequence dress. And let's go on one of the apps. And they bought it for $11, $12, $13. They got it in 10 days. They didn't need to rush. They knew when the concert was going to be. They didn't need it overnight. So it worked out fine. So coming into this year's holiday, 2024, we really crunched numbers. Kayla Schwartz, who is the lead of our consumer insights and is just a guru in this area. She's been slicing data for the last 10 years and really has built the shopping index to where it is. She came to me and said, listen, I crunched the numbers and it's looking like a large percent, almost 20% of sales are going to come from Chinese shopping apps this holiday season, mainly Temu, Shein, TikTok, AliExpress, and I think Cider as well, were the top 5 is what the research shows. And it's fun. I mean, aside from being quoted by Brent and Paul on your show, the second coolest thing was that actually Scott Galloway mentioned it on one of his, and of course he made the numbers sound so much cooler than ours. And I guess that's why he does what he does, but he's like, $1 in $5 will be spent on these apps. So it's real. It's real. Now, it brought up another point, and it's your second one. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to kind of keep on riffing, which is, it reminded me early on after Paul AMR, I had a stint at IBM where I ran retail strategy globally, and working with a department store. One of my colleagues came up, said this catchphrase, which I really like. I can't take credit for it, but I use it, which is, what do consumers value more? Do they look for and value the name on the door or the brand on the floor? Meaning, do they go to shop at a Macy's because they trust the retailer and they have the Macy's credit card? Or do they go in the store because they want to get a pair of Skechers or they want Ralph Lauren brand? And for years, like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it was the store. It was the store. People went there because it was convenient. They could, buy more than one thing.
I remember like Selfridges. I mean, and like J.C. Penney's when the Neiman Marcus. It was all about the store.
Yeah. When I went to the Selfridges first time, actually with Scott Langdock and I, when I was with AMR, right on Oxford Street in London, I was in awe, and they had this amazing eatery on the first floor. It was all experience, right? But with kind of the democratization of shopping, like you can buy anything anywhere, the brand really becomes more important, especially if it is authentic, right? And you just trust the brand, and you can find more information about the brand. You can't get the brand anywhere else. So in this time of these Chinese shopping apps, who are likely taking market share from marketplaces, dollar stores, and off-price stores, the brands themselves have some more power than they ever had, which is a super interesting dynamic.
All right, Paul, do you want to give it one more shot?
Oh no, Paul.
No. It's really a shame, but we'll get it fixed for next week. Rob, it was awesome. We're not even going to go into the football thing because we already know the answer to that one. But I will say this. How did the Garfy come about? Maybe we could end on the Garfy.
Oh my gosh, the Garfy. So really quickly, and it's a fun story. Well, early on, of social media, I couldn't find my groove. Like, I didn't know my persona. I didn't know what I should convey, what I should do. And so I started to take selfies, mostly on stage where the people in the audience were in the background. And I'd say something interesting about the person who was on stage with me, or something I learned. Because I felt like, hey, if I'm going to be on the road, why don't I kind of share some of the magical moments that I have? And one day, a really bright social media manager came into my office and said, I have an idea. And she pitched it to me. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And she's like, how about #Garfy? I'm like, okay, let's do it. Fast forward, I have Garfy M&Ms, I have Garfy sticker. What really, though, Brent, propelled it was Retail ROI, Retail Orphan Initiative, is an organization that I'm involved in with Greg Busick and many other wonderful humans to really help underprivileged people around, and kids around the world get education, get computers, get housing, all that good stuff, right? And so what we did, they have a Super Saturday, the Saturday of NRF. And what we organize is those that took a selfie with me, #Garfy, #Retail ROI, and posted it, we would donate money. And so over 2 years, we probably donated over or just around $50,000. Wow. And so from Salesforce to Retail ROI, and that just kind of took it to a whole other level. And it felt really good too.
Yeah, that's great. So now, every time I look at your profile, I was telling Paul, telling Rob yesterday, Paul, I'm not used to seeing him looking right at. I'm used to this kind of. That's what I always see him on his Facebook pictures or LinkedIn pictures.
That's right. Well, what, we have a deal, Brent, and hopefully, Paul, you'll be there too. Dreamforce in a short, what are we, 6-7 weeks away? We'll make sure we get one.
Absolutely. And I don't know, Rob, if Paul is a hugger, so I don't know if you got to
bring it on.
A Huggarfy. I don't know.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
I love he's already doing this. So yeah, see your chiropractor before you get that hug. But Rob, this has been really great. Thank you. So it was very short notice. Really appreciate you joining us. Paul, do you have any? Can you say goodbye yet? Or
I think you can hear me.
Nah, it's unfortunate. So on behalf of Paul, I'll say goodbye. And Rob, thanks. And we definitely will both be at Dreamforce. We definitely look forward to getting a chance to see. I've seen you briefly face to face, but maybe we'll get a chance to do a little bit more than just say, hey, and hi.
Well, thank you, Brent, Paul, really enjoyed it. And we'll see you real soon. Take care.
All right. So on behalf of Rob Garf, and I even get to say on behalf of Paul Greenberg this time, I'm Brent Leary. This is the CRM Players. And before we go, you know what we do. Bye, Minnie. Now we can say goodbye.